It's really
Yeah,
intriguing.
definitely.
And
Actually, a big topic that's been like showing up recently is how should I say is parasocial relationships, which I believe is
yeah,
starting to be like a really big thing, especially with the both of us, as we are both VTubers. It's
yes,
starting to be like a bit blurred, if I should say, because there are some people that discover friends online, some people that discover just an entertainer online, but the way that this is affecting how people view each other is getting a bit too skewed, if I should say.
yes, definitely. I I know the concept of parasocial relationships, but it's just hard to speak on it because it's a human concept. Again, it's a human concept, and comets don't need to experience something like that. Good people don't experience something like that because although technology exists in Milko Planet, we mostly focus on what's happening on the now. We don't have any phones or something like that because since everybody's everywhere, we just need to slide like that.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, I can see why it's a problem. Like parasocial relationships, it's artificial. What you know on screen, you don't really know them. You don't know their background, and they don't know you. And I think humans can find a way to come around this. I think that's what I believe. That's what I want to believe. They have the thing called setting boundaries, if I remember. But I really can't speak on it because again, human comet, they're very different things.
Agreed, agreed. Um, to add on this, I there's actually how should I say this? Parasocial relationships are really hard to discuss, especially if we haven't had a full parasocial relationship on the other side. I mean, since both of us are relatively small VTubers, we haven't had a full relationship yet, but we have had some kind of taste on it. Consider we both have audiences. Those people can possibly view the relationship with us as a bit too personal, but that would be completely different on our side. We could definitely relate to this because we were also on the other side of that spectrum. We were once also fans of a certain creator, perhaps another VTuber actually. But then, of course,
Mm-hmm.
as things go on, it things can change, and now we're on the other side of that spectrum. We get to see both sides of it, which is what a lot of creators, well, a lot of people who are in the entertainment industry can experience. We have like actors especially, but the most common ones is of course with influencers, which I don't like to use that word, but influencers, streamers, YouTubers, those kind of guys, those kind of people, they develop a
Mm-hmm.
type of parasocial relationship that just cannot be fully matched by other industries, which is an alerting thing that people should really just discover what the boundaries are. I'm from in the city of Incendium. We share plenty of these kinds of things, but seeing on how huge it is in the human culture, in human culture and all human internet at least, it's rather alarming, I should say, just how many people like take it like overtly seriously.
Mm-hmm. It is. It's very alarming, but how do I say this? It's since it's a big issue, a very sensitive issue. One answer cannot apply for everybody. So right now, it's still. It depends on every community, right? It
Yeah,
depends. It depends on the creator as well. We have to set those boundaries, and for the audience to like realize these boundaries must be met. But everybody works differently. Even if you say this, not everybody will move the same way. Sadly,
fair
that's
enough.
what
That
I that's what I
yeah,
observe.
especially on the human internet, as there are some people who are a bit too aggressive at times, I should say.
It is. Mhm.
It's like
It's human.
it's like there are some humans that would be willing to like attack others on the behalf of other people, both of which have no idea who they are, who each others are, who any of the people involved are.
Yes, exactly. Like
I-
it's so easy to insult somebody on the other
yeah,
side because you don't know their face, you don't know how they feel. That's
espe-
why people
yeah.
are so willing to, be at each other's throats. They don't realize that, oh, it's like me. They can feel like me.
Yeah, anonymity
Doing
is a blessing and a curse, as a lot of people like to put it on the internet, especially.
Mm-hmm.
It's valuable
That's
in the sense that it gives you more security, but that same security can also apply towards people who are a-holes.
exactly.
Actually, before we started this, I was contacted by a friend of mine warning me to be wary of people who are attacking VTubers using with very vulgar names,
Mm-hmm.
and they just go into the streams of VTubers just to basically bully the VTuber for no other reason besides that they are a VTuber. That that can only exist from anonymity, but that is also the bad thing about it.
Exactly. You can't hold these people accountable.
Exactly, yeah.
So it's a sad reality that it always has to be on the VTuber's end to address these issues.
Yeah, basically just defend themselves. But then there's also the other side of the spectrum, wherein if this person exists, there's gonna be somebody from the community who takes it upon themselves to defend the VTuber, which is great for a while until they take it too far, which is what happens when I forgot the whole story, but I recall that there's this VTuber who was who had some beef with another VTuber, no, another VTuber, a real tuber, a normal streamer, basically a non VTuber
Mm-hmm.
streamer, and
Yes.
the fans of the VTuber took it personally to defend their wife, to defend the VTuber, to the point of doxing the other to dox the streamer.
Yeah, people can be defensive. Humans can be defensive. It's it's really hard. It's honestly hard. It's honestly hard to control the situation from an outsider perspective, from my perspective. Like
I think it's hard to
I
control
get
the situation. Yeah,
I get why I get why humans are like this, but at the same time, even if you do something about it, it just it's very complex. It feels like wires entangled together.
oh
Can't find
yeah,
the original
yeah,
wire. It's just that complex. So
definitely.
that's mm,
But it's just really difficult to say, huh? To say what could possibly solve this, even if we are both part of it. It's just a really hard
because
issue to solve.
it really is. But this is just me. This is just me as a VTuber. You know, you just can't say what you can't say. You can't tell other people what to do. That's reality because they go by their own flow. The best that you can do is to focus on your community. Like, what can you do with your community, right? My community, your community. What can you do to control your own situation? So other communities can, if ever they happen to stumble upon your community, they join this small community, they would see how disciplined or how the culture is in your community, they would like go, what about, why don't I, look at their community and think about my community. What can I do for my community to improve the situation? It's a very slow process, I must say. It's like, it's not the butterfly effect where one small thing happens and all of a sudden it will go that way. It's not a linear process. It's very tiny. It takes a while. So for me, what I can do about that thing, I have to do what I can between satellites and me. I have to think about, are there things that I can do in my community so that other communities can find it easier to like, spread the word like that. That's how I see it. That's my perspective.
Yeah, definitely. To give a shining example of this, a VTuber who I've been following for a while, who actually helped me start out, is a person named Sapphire. They are an art focused VTuber, but they've also done a lot of educational videos on how to start being a VTuber. I've been watching their work, and after I decided to join their community to get a sense of how everything works, I realized that the culture of this community is different from the other communities especially on Discord that I've joined, which is that this community is basically zero tolerance. If you do something that vaguely resembles like attacking somebody or making fun of somebody's like ailments, that'll already be considered an attack, and depending on the severity, there might not even be a warning. You will just be banned immediately. And that's what happened with some people, which is why they also don't allow for cursing on the Discord or on YouTube or any of the medias. She is basically the embodiment of a say-so VTuber.
Yes.
And that has extended to her to her audience, wherein her audience is, of course, rather larger. So she has a lot of VTuber members of her community who also have their own communities, but because of her influence, a lot of the VTubers are following in her footsteps, which I do like to see. It's just that I cannot apply this to myself. One example is VTuber Senpai, another person who helped me like start up. His work is say so also, but he also stopped cursing specifically because he wants to be more like her and also wants to do more work with her.
It's really about that, following on a good example's footsteps. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, exactly. Just following. Well, like your mentor actually. Just you both of you are now in space apparently, if I recall it correctly. You're basically following in her footsteps, in their footsteps, kinda.
Basically, yes. Now that I think about it, if they weren't sent away, I would have probably been stuck on Earth with no motivation to get back to my home planet. Because in reality, to be honest, there's not a lot of attachment to my home planet. Because I have a purpose, searching for that person. They told me that even if you have no attachment to that planet, you could still do something about it. You could still make space. And I was like, alrighty. Following the example of someone, of a good example, by the way, not just any example, a good example.
You have to know which example to follow, because that's also part of the whole how do I know which one to follow, because don't just follow everyone. If you try to follow everyone, you will just stress yourself out. Nothing will get solved, basically.
Exactly, that's how it is, and that's what I hope for between me and my audience with satellites. I really try to remind myself to be a good example of what to on how to communicate with others, to be sensitive, to be considerate about others, because sometimes, we just don't realize that we can offend people. We have to be conscious. Sometimes it feels like it feels like a joke, or it feels like it's very friendly.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it isn't. You just don't know how people feel, and it's always all right to ask, hey, is there anything I could do to improve? Is there anything? How can I communicate better with you? That's the kind of person I want to show to satellites, because yeah, I gave them their name, satellites. Satellites in human dictionary, it means to study, to communicate with the said celestial object. And I want
Okay.
satellites to learn from me, and I can learn from them. So that's how it is.
Okay, I see. Well, that's just